Hi everyone. These FR LocoSkates are way better than I thought they were 24 hours ago, and I just needed to jump on and tell you about it. And there's one really big reason why I think they're a lot better than I realised. And I'm going to talk about a few other things as well that have come up in the last 24 hours that we missed out in yesterday's video. FR haven't sent us all that much information about this, so we're discovering stuff as we go along. Some of it thanks to your comments in the last video, actually, so thank you for pointing the stuff out. So the main big reason that I'm totally sold on these skates all of a sudden is the mount. We didn't realise this yesterday. The mount on the bottom of the skate is really different to what you're used to seeing on most 165 mount skates. So let me just compare it to a... Actually, look at that. Compare it to a traditional mount. So you see this block here, this mount block on the bottom. Notice how far it protrudes out, and notice that this second wheel along has to be placed low enough in order not to hit that mounting block. Now look at the FR LocoSkates mount. There is no protruding mounting block. Well, it slightly protrudes, but much, much less. And they've managed to put the kind of the mounting plate, the thread, inside the bottom of the boot here without having a massive protruding part. But the other thing they've managed to do is look at the shape of the skate. It shapes upwards like this, and it's pitted out in the middle. And so the top of the wheel there actually sits higher up than where the frame is mounted onto the skate. And that's pretty unheard of on 165 mount skates. Just standard, freestyle free ride skates like this. So it rides super, super low to the ground. And as we all know, the lower to the ground, the better, because your center of gravity is lower, more control, more stability. Just if we can see these side by side. Look at where the wheel is placed and how close it is to the boot on the LocoSkate versus the flagship FR model. The other thing worth mentioning is the frame that comes stock on the FR LocoSkate is optimized for that mount. So it's really good, because usually a frame, wouldn't allow the top of the wheel to sit higher than the mount itself, because it just hit the bottom of the boot. But this particular frame is optimized for that, so you get the maximum ride height advantage of having this stock frame on here. So my advice would be to keep the stock frames on the FR LocoSkates rather than replace them with a different frame, because you're going to get a lower ride. And that will be the case for the Neo 1s, which are coming out in the summer this year, with the Intuition liner in. They've got an even better frame on, but that will be the same for that. They'll be optimized for that frame mount. The next thing I wanted to show you is the mounting plate on the bottom of the boot as well. So it is a metal mounting plate, like the higher end FR1 skates, FR2 skates, FR1 Deluxe, but it is a bit different if you compare it side by side. So this has got a cajillion holes in it for some reason. You're never going to use all those mounting options. But yeah, you have got some mounting options here. I don't know whether this will really allow you to put like a 195 mount on the skate though. I know some people have mentioned before that they needed a 195 mount to make like certain frames work, like certain sizes of endless frames had the wheels skimming the bottom of the boot or the frame bolt or something. So yeah, that's one to watch out for. But for most people, that's going to be all good. I also had a thought as well that I really wondered why these two like side by side like lateral thread holes existed, because you're not going to move your whole frame over to that far over, especially when it's got a slotted mount on the inside of the frame there, and you can just do it like bit by bit if you just wanted to move your frame over slightly a couple of millimeters. But it did occur to me that actually what you could do is you could put 2 bolts to mount on your frame, because the slotted frame hole here is big enough to fit 2 bolts into, and that would be a more secure fitting of your frame to the boot. You'd have less torsional force, because you've got 2 bolts in there, and there'd just be less flex of that frame side to side. and there'd be less chance of your frames coming undone when you didn't want them to. So I think that's cool. Actually, they don't come with 2 bolts attaching it, but you could do that, and I think I'd probably do that if I ever took the frames off and put them back on again. I'd just put in an extra bolt and have them side by side. What else did we notice since yesterday? Oh yeah, the UFS mounting bolt is still really fat, like the original FR ones. It has a really fat thread on it, like this. It's a bit annoying if you need to replace them and you can't find a bolt with a fat thread. I think FR's concept here is that it's probably stronger. Maybe it's less likely to thread, like de-thread or something like that. But you can usually pick them up, so no big deal. The other thing that I should have said yesterday that somebody pointed out in the comments is about the dual density shell. By the way, the one I'm holding isn't the one with the dual density shell, but if you watched yesterday's video, you'll know that the one coming out in the summer, the Neo 1, will have the dual density shell, and the blue version with the 3x110 wheels does have a dual density shell. The main function of a dual density shell is that you can tighten your laces more and bring the shell down over your foot more, so it will give you more support as long as your laces are really tight, and it'll be just a closer fit. So I think that's a really good point, and I'm excited to try that out when the higher end Intuition version comes out. I'm going to do a full review on that skate when it comes out. The other thing I noticed, I did mention this yesterday actually, but I just wanted to mention it again. The buckle just seems really, really good quality on here. There's just very little play in that buckle, and there's so many skates on the market with loads of play and loads of bad tolerance. It just doesn't rattle really, whereas the old FR, there's lots of rattling. And it's plastic as well, and it looks premium, even though it's plastic. And I quite like a plastic buckle because it doesn't hurt as much when you hit your shin on it. So I just wanted to mention that again. I thought the buckles were really good on there. And the other last thing I wanted to mention, which we didn't talk about yesterday, was how the Intuition version of this skate that's yet to come out might fit. We actually don't know what shell sizes they're using for what liner size yet. But what I can tell you is I put my UK 7.5 or 7 to 7.5 Intuition liner into a UK 6 to 6.5 shell, so I downsized, and it felt really good. I'm usually about a size UK 7.5, so I was able to do that. It felt really good. The only thing that was bothering me a little bit was that the toe box is actually quite low in the Neo skate, and it was pressing down on top of my foot. Interestingly, that would be solved, I think, with the dual density shell, because if the shell was able to flex a little bit more, then it wouldn't be pushing down on top of my foot so much. That's it. I'm really, really excited now, after those discoveries in the last 24 hours, to try the higher end one of this. I want to skate the new frame. The frame looks really cool, and I want to skate the dual density shell, and I want to skate them with an Intuition liner. I think I'm going to like those. I'm really excited for those to come out, and we'll do a full review when they do come out. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.